Yes, Greg, you can hit start. We're live. Yeah. Good evening, and good evening. Welcome to Cupcakes and Conversation, the sweet taste of sisterhood. She's healed. We want to welcome you out tonight to our great event with our national presidents. Please feel free in the chat to drop which sorority or organization you're from. Show your sorority love. We'd love to have that. We just want to open up a little bit and tell you a little bit about why this program came together from San Diego State. My name is Asia Jones, and I'm a second year PhD student here at San Diego State. And I am studying education and I can't talk today. Higher education and leadership with an emphasis on improving student success for Black girls. And so one of the conversations that we had when we decided to write a proposal for a grant to bring different type of speakers in to improve Black student success here at San Diego State. I successfully, with my graduate advisor, Dr. Green, successfully wrote a student success fee proposal, and I was awarded over $130,000 to be able to do this type of programming for our university. And so one of the things we've been partnering with different organizations throughout the San Diego area to bring different speakers here to our campus. And so tonight we're presenting our 4 national sorority presidents. And at this time, I'm going to turn over the time to Rachel Thomas, who is the current president of the San Diego alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta here in San Diego. But just before I do that, let me thank some of our co-collaborators. Our African Student Union here at San Diego State University. Georgia State University is also one of our partners, and the San Diego alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta and the New Upsilon chapter of Delta Sigma Theta at San Diego State, and our Black Resource Center here at San Diego State are all co-collaborators on tonight's event. Rachel, the time is yours now.
Thank you, Asia. Thank you. Good evening to all of our guests. My name is Rachel Thomas, and I am the proud president of the San Diego Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I would like to give a warm sisterly welcome to our national president and CEO of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Sora Beverly E. Smith, and the international presidents and CEOs, Dr. Glenda Glover of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Mrs. Valerie Hollingsworth Baker of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and fellow Brooklynite, I might add, and Mrs. Rashida Liberty of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. On behalf of the San Diego Alumni chapter and the New Upsilon chapter, we are extremely appreciative of the fact that you are participating in this year's Cupcakes and Conversation, the sweet taste of sisterhood. This is our wildest dream moment Like I can't even express how excited I am. I'm actually nervous and I'm usually pretty good at talking. This is our third annual event. This event began with a strategic vision and a conversation between Asia Jones and me. The San Diego Alumni Chapter held its annual planning meeting where the theme emerged as Black women. It was our focus area for our 4 years. Every public service, social action, and fundraising effort either started with Black women, surrounded Black women, or needed Black women to keep it going. During the chapter's planning meeting and the conversations held outside of the meeting, we discussed the fact that Black women were the glue that keeps most things together: our communities, our jobs, our families, our marriages, and yes, even the Democratic Party. Then we asked, but who keeps us together? We need a support system too. At the San Diego Panhellenic Cookout, Asia and I discussed the high school conference at San Diego State University, and she introduced the idea of merging the two events and having the Black female students at San Diego State attend because this would be so useful to them as well. She introduced me and the San Diego community to our soror, Dr. Chandra Gill, tonight's phenomenal moderator. We had many subsequent conversations about this topic, including the name. It had to be catchy. And then it resulted in Cupcakes and Conversation, the sweet taste of sisterhood. Asia and I have been joined at the hip ever since. She is truly a dear friend. Our first and second Cupcakes and Conversations allowed the multi-generational attendees to speak freely about everything: life, family, careers, campus life, mentorship, and of course, about being a Black woman. Our ages ranged from 18 to 75. That created a great conversation. Of course, the ladies that were not members of our sororities were amazed that we conducted this program together. We discussed that too. That was especially the very first one. The purpose of this program tonight is to develop a system of supports for us and allows us a space to explore our own mental health as it relates to a variety of topics. We thank you all for attending tonight's program and we wish you wellness. We will now be introduced to the national presidents of our illustrious guests. Thank you, ladies, so much. Sor Harris.
Good evening. My name is Carla Harris, and I'm a proud member and the first vice president of the San Diego Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I have the distinct honor of introducing Dr. Glenda Baskin Glover. Professionally, Dr. Glover serves as president of Tennessee State University, her beloved alma mater, and is the institution's eighth and first female president. Now, I'm convinced she doesn't sleep because she is also the international president of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Dr. Glover leads this prestigious 113-year-old organization of nearly 300,000 members and over 1,000 chapters located all over the world. Since becoming international president in July 2018, under her leadership, the sorority has raised over $2 million for our nation's historically Black colleges and universities, which is part of Dr. Glover's overall goal to donate $10 million over the next 4 years through an established AKA HBCU endowment initiative. Also under her leadership, the organization has increased its commitment to women's health with the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Mobile Mammogram Unit, which is believed to be the first ever mobile screening unit operated by a Greek organization. Dr. Glover was initiated into the Alpha Psi chapter at Tennessee State University in November 1971. Her commitment as a life member of Alpha Kappa Alpha is evidenced by over 4 decades of leadership and service in several capacities, including International Vice President, International Treasurer, and Treasurer to the Educational Advancement Foundation. A native of Memphis, Tennessee, Dr. Glover majored in mathematics at Tennessee State University, and after graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree, she pursued an MBA from Clark Atlanta University. She then completed her doctorate in business from George Washington University, and later completed her law degree from Georgetown University. In case you missed that, she has a bachelor's, an MBA, is a CPA, holds a law degree as well as a PhD. Dr. Glover and her husband Charles are the parents of 2 adult children and the proud grandparents of 3 grandsons. To some, she is President Glover, to others, she is Sora Glover, but to all of us, she is our sister and a living example that the only limits to what you can achieve are the limits you place in yourself. I introduce Dr. Glenda Baskin Glover.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria Blake. I am a member of the New Upsilon chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, where I am the recording, corresponding, and financial secretary of the chapter. And I'm also the Far West Regional Representative of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And I have the honor of introducing my national president. Beverly Evans Smith is the 2017-2021 National President and CEO for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, one of the nation's largest minority female-owned and operated public service nonprofits. In this role, she has restructured the corporate board and headquarters operation, initiated the documentation of all business operations, added new revenue streams, and increased membership. She also served as the organization's elected National First Vice President, National Secretary, and was previously employed as Delta Sigma Theta's Executive Director, leading headquarters business function. Smith retired from the Technical College Systems of Georgia as the Assistant Commissioner and Georgia State Director for Adult Education and GED Testing in 2018. In this role, she provided adult education training programs for an average of 69,000 Georgia citizens annually, with a staff of over 1,200 educators and support staff at 450 sites across the state. She was also responsible for the administration of all Georgia GED testing and supported local literacy action groups throughout Georgia. In addition, Smith served as 2015 to 17 chair of the National Association of State Directors of Adult Education and has testified before the U.S. Senate Health Committee representing the issues faced by adults with literacy challenges. As an entrepreneur, Smith is also Senior Vice President of the HR Group Incorporated, a management consulting firm she has co-owned with her husband, Stephen, for 30 years. As corporate manager, Smith spent 18 years in leadership positions with AT&T, implementing innovative businesses processes during her tenure. Her skill sets include demonstrated expertise in organizational effectiveness, business operations redesign and restructure, and strategic planning. During that time, she also served as a member of the 1994 AT&T Malcolm Baldrige Award-winning team in the area of human resources. Prior to the corporate work, Smith spent several years as university administrator in varied capacities. She is a prolific motivational speaker in the areas of leadership and change management. Smith is currently a member of the board of directors for the National Council of Negro Women and the Delta Research and Education Fund. She also serves on the Bowling Green State University Student Affairs Leadership Council, a long-term community volunteer. Smith served 8 years as a chair of the Cobb County Board of Elections and Registration and on varied community boards, including the Atlanta Area Council Boy Scouts of America, the Cobb County United Way and Girls Incorporated. She has been a co-chair for Leadership Cobb, as well as served on the board of directors for Chattahoochee Technical College and the Alumni Board of Directors for Bowling Green State University, where she chaired its strategic planning committee. A recipient of numerous awards and honors, Smith was named 2020 Georgia Outstanding Individual by Georgia General Assembly and the Lead 360 Business Organization Executive of the Year for 2020 to 2021. She also is a recipient of the UNCF Maya Angelou Woman Lead Award. Her alma mater, Bowling Green State University, named her to the 2018 class of the Academy Distinguished Alumni, and she was honored by the St. Louis Urban League Guild with a Lifetime Achievement Award in 2017. Smith was also recognized in 2017 as an outstanding Georgia citizen by the Office of Secretary of State and is the recipient of a U.S. Congressional Certificate of Special Recognition. Recognized by the NW Georgia YWCA as a Woman of Achievement, she has been listed in both Who's Who Among African Americans and Who's Who in the Southeast. In 2006, she was named a History Maker by the History Makers, a national African American historical registry, which is housed in United States Library of Congress. Smith is a member of Omicron Delta Kappa, Mortarboard, and Golden Touch Honor Societies. She has also received numerous keys and proclamations from cities and states across the country. Beverly and her husband, Stephen, have been married for 49 years. The Smiths have 2 married children, son, Brian Smith, and daughter, Stacy Frazier, and 5 grandchildren.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Wendy Stewart, and I'm a member of the San Diego Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and serve on the executive board of the chapter. And I have the pleasure of introducing Valerie Hollingsworth Baker. Born in Brooklyn, New York, Valerie Hollingsworth Baker was elected as the 25th International Grand Basileus of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated in July 2018. Prior to being elected to Grand Basileus, Valerie held numerous elected and appointed positions in her home chapter, Delta Mu Zeta, served as the Atlantic Regional Director, Chairman of the National Executive Board, and the immediate Zeta Phi Beta past International First Vice President, overseeing the sorority's membership functions. Scholarship is a principle that Valerie holds in high regard, having graduated from York Institute as the class valedictorian at the age of 14. At the age of 18, she received a Bachelor of Arts degree from Fordham University, where she majored in industrial organizational psychology with a minor in theater and drama. Valerie also received a paralegal degree from the American Institute for Paralegal Studies. She has served as the director of the Enforce Systems Division for New York Life Insurance Company and currently serves as the vice president of Hancock TNT Block Association. In addition to being a member of the NAACP, she has served as volunteer coordinator with the March of Dimes and the United Way, and a volunteer with the American Red Cross, UNCF, and New York Cares. She also serves on the board of directors for the Bedford-Stuyvesant Mental Health Clinic. In addition to numerous awards from her own organization, Valerie is being recognized for her service in the International Who's Who of Information and Technology and Outstanding Women of America publications. She was also honored by the United Negro College Fund as a Maya Angelou Women Who Lead honoree in September 2020. As international president, Valerie and the Centennial Chair were responsible for the organization's week-long historic centennial celebration, which took place January 12th through 18th, 2020. She also instituted a $100,000 scholarship awarded to a female high school graduate who is pursuing her bachelor's degree at Stanford University, the first of its kind provided by a Divine Nine organization to a single student. Valerie has assembled a vast list of accomplishments, highlighting her leadership and excellence. The transformation of Zeta is being carefully crafted for the next 100 years with President Valerie Hollingsworth Baker at the helm.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kimani Bouze. I am a 4th year at San Diego State University, and I am the current president of the Nu Upsilon chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And I have the pleasure to introduce Ms. Rashida Liberty. Rashida S. Liberty was elected the 25th International Grand Basileus of the organization during the 58th Biennial Boule on July 31st, 2020. In her new role, Mrs. Liberty, a 26-year member of the renowned sorority, will lead the organization as it celebrates its 100th year in 2022. Mrs. Liberty will provide leadership to over 100,000 sorority members and serve as chairman of the board of directors, comprised of 38 national and regional officers who manage the sorority's 500 chapters in the United States and in several countries. Mrs. Liberty joined the Sigma Gamma Rho sorority in 1994 at Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. A proven and dedicated mentor, she has spearheaded the growth of Sigma Gamma Rho in the Southeastern region since 2016, serving in several leadership roles, including International First Vice President, Southeastern Region Director, and as International Editor-in-Chief. Mrs. Liberty is lauded by her sorority for her stewardship of the organization's mission of enhancing the quality of life for women and their families in the US and globally. Rashida S. Liberty also serves as a senior finance leader, steering the recruitment strategy for Amazon's chief financial officer and executive team. She is a recognized corporate leader with over 28 years of experience in delivering results for Fortune 100 companies. She is a member of numerous organizations, including Top Ladies of Distinction, the NAACP, Finance Executive Networking Group, and Jack and Jill of America.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary, and I'm also a fourth-year student at San Diego State University, and I'm the Vice President and Treasurer of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the Nu Upsilon chapter. And I have the honor of introducing my soror and also our moderator for tonight, Dr. Chandra Gill. Dr. Chandra Gill is an astute educator and award-winning speaker who has spoken to national and international audiences alike. She is the founder and CEO of Black Academically Speaking and the author of 2 books, Champions Break Chains and Black Genes, Black Genius, a motivational handbook to empower Black youth. She has received numerous honors and awards. Amongst them are today's Chicago Woman 1 of 100 Women to Watch, Chicago's Top 40 Game Changers, and NBC's The Griots 100 list, where she joined an impressive group which includes Kevin Hart, Tracy Ellis Ross, and Cam Newton. Her thoughts and views have been shared on WGN-TV, BET, TV One, Radio One, WVON, MSNBC, NBC, and various Sirius XM radio stations. Dr. Gill was initiated into the Alpha Nu chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated at the University of Illinois. She is currently a member of the Chicago Alumni chapter. She has served on several regional and national committees, and currently she serves on the National Membership Services Committee. Dr. Gill's overall work is centered on helping to heal the hearts and minds of our children and communities. Welcome, Dr. Gill.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Soror.
I think it's my turn. I have the pleasure of, can everyone hear me okay? I have the pleasure of introducing Asia Jones. I don't have a bio in front of me, but I don't feel like I need one because my sister and my friend is she's a phenomenal woman. She's my prayer partner. She's my graduate assistant for the African American Mentoring Program. And I've been blessed to get a chance to know her over the course of the last 2 years. Asia and I have worked together fearlessly to put together a speaker series, but she's the one that wrote a phenomenal proposal to allow all these beautiful women to come together and share with you tonight. And I just want to acknowledge her and all the efforts that she has accomplished in her role at San Diego State and beyond. She's a mother to the students. She's an auntie to the students. And she's also a prolific visionary on our campus. She's creative. She's loving and a caring person. And I just love her spirit, and I am so grateful and honored to be able to introduce you to her tonight, our second moderator, Asia Jones.
Okay, Dr. Gill, you ready? Where did she go?
I know she's shy, so I was giving her a little moment to catch it, get it all together. I'm ready, Asia. I'm ready, Doc.
Thank you, Doc. Okay, so just a little real quick story about me. Like I'm an introverted extrovert. Like, so I'm actually pretty shy, just so you all know, even though everybody sees me being hyper sometimes, I'm actually pretty shy. So, and this is just not my jam, but I want to open up with this story because Dr. Gill would probably get on to me if I didn't tell this part of my story about me. But my name is Asia Jones. I was born in the Utah State Prison because my mother was incarcerated because she was addicted to drugs and she was a robber. In 2009, I met Dr. Chandra Gill at University of Utah in my first job as a student affairs professional. I was walking down the hall, frantic as I always am before any event, and kids were asking me, "What's this? What's going on? What's going on?" And I'm like, "This is my first conference. I had 700 kids there. I was trying to figure it out." And Dr. Gill walks up to me and was like, "Yo, you gotta chill." And I'm looking at her like, "You can't chill. There's 700 kids running around." And so, long story short, Dr. Gill spoke something into me that day. She said, "Dr. Jones." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "I'm not a doctor. My name's just Asia." She said, "But you will be a doctor." And so, ever since that day, she would call me Dr. Jones. Our stories are very parallel in our experiences of having to deal with some things with law. And she walked me through the process and got me unconvicted of something that I was wrongfully accused of, because she went through it before me and taught me how to go through it so that I didn't get into trouble and I didn't become the chains that I was born into. So when I talk about sisterhood, it's real. It doesn't matter the sorority colors. It doesn't matter if she's a Delta, because as I always tell her, without a Sigma, there can't be a Delta Sigma Theta. I always mess with her on that. And so I just want to say my friendship with Dr. Gill is real. Dr. Gill is my prayer warrior. Dr. Gill will call me out of the blue and say, "I know they're harassing you at work. I know that's what's going on." Whatever it is, she picks me up in the spirit. For those of you who believe in a higher being, she picks me up in the spirit and she tells me who I am in God and reminds me of where I'm going and not where I'm at. And then I'm set to go from the streets to the suites. So I'm so glad to moderate with my sister and my friend, Dr. Chandra Gill.
Thank you so much, Doc. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And yes, I am so glad that you tried to throw that little Sigma in. But my Sora, Madam President, you know, you saw that, right, Sora Smith? You know, she threw that little Sigma in there. But we'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take it. Look at I got to get myself together. We welcome you guys to this beautifully esteemed panel. You did not come to hear me. You came to hear from these beautiful women. And I just got one rule and one rule. I've been given my marching orders. I am the personal pyramid of my national president, Sora Smith. So I am at her beck and call as usual. And I'm going to be focused on that. But also, I was given some rules by President Baker yesterday. And so I am her little sister. And so this is going to be very informal. We got our presidents here. And I am just going to say this as shaping this as an impetus. It's a saying that says, hurt people hurt people. We're daring today to do something else. And we're saying healed people heal people. In the spirit of Sisterhood Month for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, in the spirit of Women's History Month, again, my name is Dr. Chandra Gill. We have come to have a conversation about healing. It is time for women to move away from the toxicity and the negativity, and to move in the spirit of what these four women, our leadership, our presidents, are staying up to 2 and 3 in the morning doing for us. And so they testified yesterday, and I'm going to get out of the way, and we're going to just jump into this in the essence of time. I'm going to start to all of my presidents by asking a very simple question for all of our audience. We would like for you all to tell us in your own definition, your own viewpoint. Let's start it off by saying, what is sisterhood? What is sisterhood? I don't know if we want to go in order. The first.
Go ahead, because I hit my button, but you go on ahead.
All right, I'll start. So sisterhood represents a bond of nurturing. It's like-minded individuals supporting and working together for a common goal. It's liking and acceptance your sister, someone where they are, accepting for who they are, but you're constantly and consistently inspiring them to reach their highest potential for their life.
Oh, okay.
So Beverly?
I just turned it over to Grand Val. So she's President Hollingsworth Baker. Should I do this?
Oh, you can call me Val any day.
Val, you're next, Val.
Okay. I just want to say sisterhood to me is the state of mind that you're in. You wanna be close with people that have those like minds that will help to elevate you and not tear you down. You want to be there for those sisters because you can lift them up and help them to get to their dream, their goals. Sisterhood means that you can't just be there in the good times, but you have to be there in the bad times. You want to be able to put your arms around people and make them believe that there'll be a better day. So sisterhood is important to me because, especially as an only child, having the sisters that will understand you, that will be there for you, that would not turn their back on you one way or the other is what that's all about. And I would like to take that opportunity to say that my 3 sister presidents that are on this line today, they are the bomb ... com because they're there for me as I am there for them. And I appreciate each one of you because you are my sisters, no matter what organization we're in. I love you. And that's what sisterhood to me is all about.
Oh, Grand Val, thank you. I will. Good evening, sorors and sisters that are with us. And thank you, Aisha, for bringing us together, and Dr. Gil Shander for doing the same. You know, so far, my 2 sisters, Glenda Glover and Valerie Hollingsworth Baker, really have said something that sums it up. When the fresh question first came up, Sora Gil, the first thing I did is look at the other 3 on the screen. You know, sisterhood, obviously we define it internally as people who have something in common, those who have same likes, those who will support you, who will be your front and your back. As I know most of you say, I was a line of 1, so I didn't have a front and a back, I just had me. But I had the greater sisterhood of Delta Sigma Theta to support me, and there's a common bond there. But it does, as Grand Val said, expand beyond that. True sisterhood, especially in this environment, really means those who have those qualities, those who really support you in good times and bad times, those who be honest with you, those you can argue with, debate with, get mad with, come back with. Because sisterhood doesn't end because you have a moment. It stays there because you have something that keeps you grounded. It is sometimes a blood tie, sometimes a relationship tie, and a connection tie. And it does cross colors of our organizations. They are superficial in the big scheme of things. You know, we have our fun competitions with each other, and we kid each other. I took a real beating on what event did we have? It was the American Heart Association. We did a session and everybody had to wear red. You know, I heard about that. But then again, during the month of October when we had breast cancer awareness, I wore pink. So, you know, it doesn't really matter. And I think that's important to remember. I define sisterhood as those who have something in common with you, who you have a relationship with, who will be honest with you and who you will accept that honesty from, who you can debate and argue with, and it's really okay. The strength of all of us together as Black women, especially now, we need each other desperately. We have to celebrate each other like we did Kamala Harris. We have to celebrate each other like we did Marcia Fudge. We have to celebrate all the great things that we all do and also be there for our pain and understand our pain. That's sisterhood.
Man.
So I guess I had to kick in here as the baby of the sororities and the newbie group. I definitely echo the sentiments of my fellow presidents. We have really formed a bond. It is not unusual for Dr. Glover to call me and say, Liberty, you know, and Val to say, don't start Rashida, you know, and President Smith telling me, get on this call, you're missing this call, what's going on? So we definitely keep each other in line. But I am an only child. And so when I think of the sorority concept, it was important for me. Uh-oh. Can you all hear me? It was important for me to form those relationships. I chose sisters. And so I learned what sisterhood was through that process. Sisterhood is definitely those tears that you can shed behind closed doors, that one that will inspire you, not only motivate you, but inspire you to keep going. And then I always say this: conflict breeds covenant. I've never had a conflict with you. Very hard to say that we can go through and recover. And so that go through and recover really solidifies that bond. And so I have to definitely say the sorority has taught me really the value of, because I didn't have those biological sisters.
Thank you all so much for that. Dr. Asia spoke on it earlier, and I want to take this next question in the spirit of what she was saying about her being a Sigma Gamma Rho, me being a Delta, me being a Delta, me being a Delta, 1913. I'm just saying, Shirley Chisholm. I'm just saying, I'm just saying, Patricia Roberts Harris. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. That's all. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. Barbara Jordan. Oh, my fault. My bad. Focus.
We want to make a masterpiece. Yes.
Amen. For all of our presidents, if you guys can, I stand in admiration. Asia and I just, one organization apart, but to see our leadership, seriously, for strong, obviously intelligent, great leaders. Can you just, each of you, share with us why this union, this bond as presidents, professional, why is it so important? And what has it meant to you guys to be able to serve as a model for all of us on why we can look beyond our colors and letters and realize that we're Black women? Can you all speak to that a little bit? Your relationships, why it's important as presidents together.
Oh, I think, and I'll go first, I guess, this time. There is the bigger picture. Now, I'm not going to say I don't love my Delta Sigma Theta, because I do. I think obviously you know that. I think all of us are very close to each of our own organizations because we pledged ourselves to the commitment to those, because we found something in each of them that was important to that. All of us, though, as we've worked together, and Dr. Glover got us together to form Sisters United for Reform. So we have a unified 13, I think it's 13 Black women's organizations who came together to fight a common cause and a common issue to move us further last year, because we needed it. I think what that showed us is how much of a different, we're great individually. We are better together, especially when we're trying to fight a common cause. I think this country turned the tide partially, and to a big degree, because we came together. When you took our 4 organizations, our 4 sisterhoods, and then the 5 men's organizations, the D9, to come together. When you put that kind of power together, I can't remember how many people we represent. Is it 5 million?
5 million.
5 million.
And then you take that and you take our circles of influence and you take those circles of influence. We, as something I've always said, the people of color are an incredible force to be reckoned with. If only we could get past what Dr. Haidt used to say to me, the crabs in the barrel syndrome. We've always been, and I think unfortunately that was planted in our psyche somewhere along the way, maybe 400 so years ago, is this pitting against each other. Because if back in the day they could keep us separate, or we thought there was only one spot, they were only going to put one token in at a time, then it caused us to either go for survival for each other or for survival for all of us. That mentality, it's taken us a while to get past if one is good, all is good. Not all of us are in the spot we're supposed to be in, and you can't support somebody just because they look like you. But there are enough of us in a common cause with common issues that the difference we can make as a united force can change the tide. And I think we saw that because we came together as a united force. We just have to remember it. We can't forget this when the crisis is over, because the crisis will come back if we don't keep our eyes on that prize and look out for all of our children, all of our sons that get murdered in the streets, all of our daughters that get thrown out on the side of the road and they get picked up and wind up in prison, all of us who are struggling with that. It takes all of us to make a difference for those to see the voting power we have, the financial power we have, the spending power we have. All of that matters, but that can only matter and only be strong if we are strong together.
Let me follow up and disagree with everything that President Smith has said, because, you know, most of us have been around for 100 years, 113th Alpha Kappa Alpha, most of us around 100 years. So you must be doing something right for us to hang around that long and continue to make a difference like we've made. The biggest example I want to push and lift up is the fact that what we did for the Get Out the Vote effort. We came together, had a strategy. We're going to work to make sure that we have voter engagement, voter education, voter registration, voter mobilization. We're going to get people out to vote. And then the last one was voter protection. After we vote, make sure that vote was counted. It wasn't, and there was nothing that was going to happen to keep that vote from being counted, but to be protected. So we came together and made that happen. We're all nonprofits, so we couldn't tell you who to vote for. That's not what we were getting the vote out. If you got to the polls, you know what to do. Once you got there, we have to tell you what to do. And so the GOTV effort. And so, you know, yes, there's some spirit of competition, you know, not in a negative way. We all have our different programs. And I tell the undergraduates, once you finish college, they all kind of mean the same, because we have various similarities, but we look at what we do individually, what we do collectively. We don't compete. I mean, I guess we complete each other. We don't compete against it, we complete each other. And that's a better way to do it. We all work together for that common goal. And the last thing I want to say is, we are the only organizations that I know of who just take care of ourselves. We are financially free. That is power. We don't have anybody, we don't have to go to anybody and say, look, I can't do this because I got this contract and this government won't let me do this. We are a membership organization. We take care of ourselves. We have our own net worth. We don't have to go to anybody and ask for anything. A person, an organization that's financially free is free indeed. And that's what we represent. So we can do things together because we're free. We're financially free.
Spoken like a true CPA.
Yes. I would also like to say that I agree with both Dr. Glover and President Smith, but I also want to add in what something else that we do. We also tend to invite each other to each other events, that we support each other. So whatever there's event going on with Alpha Kappa Alpha, Glenda is going to come and say, well, I've got something going on, and send out a flyer, and I'm going to send that out. We're going to do the same thing for Delta Sigma Theta. We're going to do the same thing for Sigma Gamma Rho. See, to me, this is the difference now. I can't speak about what happened before, because I don't like to, you don't like to go back. So I can only speak in the present. The present for me is what's important. And I see that. And you don't have to feel that, oh, they're doing this and what we doing. We're doing these things and we're learning from each other. So even if someone is doing something else, you can learn from that and see what you can do better. So by coming together, working together, inviting each other to think, we begin to learn from each other. We're not in battle with each other. We're not, like, as you said, the crabs in the barrel trying to scrape, come to the top. We're working in unison and tandem so that we can be better as a whole. Because at the end of the day, when this is all said and done, crisis, non-crisis, you still want to be able to be that cream that rises to the top and said, we, the Black women, are working together in all our array of beautiful colors, but we are still one color, and that is Black. And that's what we need to remember.
I have to say, I echo everything as well that our presidents have stated. It is always, there's a saying in the company that I work for, is that we don't we don't pay much attention to competition. We pay attention to our customer. Well, our customer, in the case of our sororities, is the community. So we never forget that we wear different colors, but we represent the same cause. And so that is what makes us so unique. There was a time where my organization maybe wasn't sometimes invited to the table. And I'm sure that we run into those in other places where it was, hey, there's only 2 of us. Well, I guess we'll get this deal. Well, there's only 3 of us. I guess I'll get this deal. And you forget about the other orgs. But what I will say that we have done as sister orgs is that we have made sure individuals have been invited. So if I see that President Hollisworth Baker is not on the call, we can't have a call. If I see that Dr. Glover's not on the call, we're not going to have a call. So those are the things that we're starting to do that has really broken down those walls. And I will end with this. We have a mutual respect for one another. And we know the struggles and the complexity of running a nonprofit organization. It's huge. It's massive. So with that alone, there's an empathy that goes along with that sisterhood that means so much. And so we understand the complexity a lot more than sometimes you would understand as an undergraduate student, right? As an undergrad, you're just trying to figure out who's going to get on the yard and who's going to get all the girls, who's going to have the biggest group and blah, blah, blah. Well, here we're dealing with big issues. We're figuring out what partners to negotiate, what issues we have to do to make sure our headquarters run smoothly. We're trying to make sure that we sustain these organizations for the next 100 years because sustainability is so key. So we have a mutual empathy that really brings us together as sisters.
Rich, that's beautiful. Dr. Jones, I'm going to turn it over to you to go ahead and ask something.
As our national leadership, can you all give us and some of your members some idea or shared experiences on the fine line between healthy competition amongst each other versus unsisterly behavior towards each other? As we've seen on this call, and as I've gotten to enjoy you all for the last few weeks, I see how you all joke with each other and it's friendly, but how do we work through the differences of that?
We actually haven't had any. We've just been working together so well. When something comes up, we have an issue. A few weeks ago, there was an issue, and everybody is kind of encircled me. I mean, we don't, though it hasn't come up not at this level. We know it exists, on chapters, on the campuses, because that's what undergraduate life is all about. You're going to have some differences. Even at the graduate life, you have differences. But we're not aware of any, I'm not aware of any unsuitable conduct among the 4 of us, or in the Divine 9. But let's take it back to undergraduate level and even the younger in terms of years of service, not young in terms of age, Rashida, but in terms of years of service, there may be some challenges sometimes, but the best way to solve the challenge is just not be a part of it. Just kind of step away from it and just let it kind of work itself out. Because the more you pour oil on it, pour gasoline on it, it continues to flame. The flame's going to come back up. So let the challenges die down. And we disagree. You're supposed to disagree because diversity of thoughts. I mean, that's what we're all about. Diversity is more than just skin color and ethnicity. Diversity of thought. I mean, that's what our country is built on. We think of things. That's how new businesses are born. You think of things. You solve a problem. That's how it's done. But we watched it very carefully to make sure that nothing gets out of control. Yes, the friendly differences have to stay friendly differences. There once was a time when things were a lot worse, but I think we're kind of turned a corner on that as far as not within the organization. I mean against each other, like we're competing with the Sigma Gamma Rho, we're competing with Delta Sigma, we're competing with, it's more the spirit of how can when we can do something that's different and let us all work together and still achieve our goal. We have missions that are similar. We do so many things that are similar. And so sometimes we just let's just work together and do this. We call it, in a time of need, we call on each other. I know I need a speaker at Tennessee State University. And I said, let's call National President of Delta, see what she'll do it. So she said, yes, I'll do it, because we needed a speaker, and it was kind of last minute. And I was so happy that she did it. She did such a wonderful job. I told her she could never come back again because she kind of upstaged the president. But I haven't said that. But, you know, that's what we do.
You didn't tell me that.
So, so we help each other out. So I don't see that the unsisterliness that we're talking about, because we look at sisterhood. Sisters are just a sister's a gift. And so we're thankful that you have sisterhood, you have sister friends. And so we're among the sister friends that we have made. So it's not that level that you're discussing. At least I don't see it.
Yeah.
I will say, oh, go ahead, Rashida.
No, I was going to say, I love that Dr. Glover said that it's how we bring our own unique approach. If we just back up to the election, all of us had a unique approach for a common cause. And so that's how you have to think about it from an undergraduate perspective as well. It's like, what are we trying to do on our campus? Like, let's not lose sight of that. So I know Dr. Glover was all about voter protection, and she used that law prowess to say, I'm going to get 1,000 attorneys to get together and make sure that these voters are protected. I know President Smith was right in the trenches in Georgia, and so had a lot of resident knowledge as to how do we kind of get the message out and turn these voters out, and hosting all kind of forums and things like that. And I know Sora Hollingsworth Baker and myself, we did some billboard advertising in Georgia across the state. So everybody had their approach, but we all had the same goal. And I think that week before the election, we saw each other so much. We talked to, must have been 20,000 news outlets, but we all shared what we were uniquely doing in order to get voters out. That was it. So I think you have to back up and say, what's the big picture and what are we trying to accomplish here?
I think we try to be, because there have been issues in competition, we try to model another behavior so that we can try and turn the tide on that. I mean, we intentionally, all 9 of us, but we intentionally, the 4 of us, try to do more things together so that you can, you can't be what you can't see, and that's important. Now there is that competition is out there, and sometimes we are not. We are Black women, and we are not always kind to each other. I do have our social media folks do take a look at our social media, and if I see posts that are not kind, or if they see posts that are not kind, we try and track down who posted it and said, okay, we really need you to think about taking that down. And that's an issue that we do see. At least I know I see it because we check social media regularly. When we had to be sure that we had to be sure that everybody understood we supported Kamala Harris for her run for national vice president of these United States. I don't want any plan. I don't want anybody saying anything about anybody. And so we said, and we came together to make sure this is the best candidate for this position. She is representing Black women. I support her, we support her. Sora Fudge, I think, was right up there front in terms of that support. We wanted to make sure that whatever competition was in other minds, they understood that cannot affect. Those colors are not colors that get in the way of what we're going to do. And so our support is going to be strong because this is the right candidate and the leader we need right now. Doesn't matter organization, she represents Greek life, and that's what's important. I can't say that we have not said those things, I haven't particularly out loud, because I want to be sure they understand that we're not in this, it's not a competition. This is not a crabs in the barrel thing. We all have strong histories in our areas. We all have a little bit of a different focus, but that's the beauty of it all. The fact that Sigma Gamma Rho focuses as much as they do on swimming. The fact that Zeta Phi Beta focuses as much as they do on, I wish I gave all the money they gave the March of Dimes and the projects that they have. The fact that Sora Glover focuses so much on health and on lawyers and on so many things as well. We all have things that are alike. We all have things that are unique to us that makes us all strong. There is no way we would not, and on our local campuses, focus on, and even our summer alumni chapters, get too much engaged in the competition and get carried away. And we ask them, I know I ask ours, to not do that, to try to get carried away with it. A little fun with each other is one thing, but getting too carried away with the competition, especially on a campus, is a whole nother thing that will not be tolerated. in our organizations. I know it won't be in Delta Sigma Theta. I know that my aunts are all AKs. My daughter-in-law is an AKA. My daughter is a Delta, but we have so many represented. My husband's an Omega. My son's father, my son-in-law's father is a Kappa. My husband's first cousin was a Grand Polaris of Iota Phi Theta. We got a little bit of everybody in the family. So we can't afford to have those kind of battles inside our family. We have 3 little girls and 2 little boys in the family, and nobody talks about what they're going to be because everybody's scared to say too much about it because it's all so different. But I think because of that, and because we have all those backgrounds, I can remember going to an airport and my aunt picked me up. She was AKA of the year in Florida. And I got off that plane. And at the time, I can't remember, I think I was first vice president. She met me at the gate singing AKA songs with her hat on and her pin. And I said, you know, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. She said, no, it's you that's embarrassing us publicly. I mean, we've made all kinds of fun and have to have fun with that because that's part of what it's all about. But when it gets to the serious things and the things when we have to make sure that we aren't difficult with each other or say things about each other, there's no place for that. That's something that has to go away. There's no place for hazing each other inside the sorority or among sororities. What use is that to us? We just can't tolerate or have that exist with our organizations and with each other as Black women. We are these 4 organizations, and you all are the role models of what womanhood, finer womanhood, as they say in Zeta Phi Beta, is all about.
So may I follow up with that? You mentioned Kamala Harris, and so that's a recent phenomenon. But we have done this for years, supporting each other.
Oh, yeah.
Loretta was trying to be Attorney General. I was on a Tom Joyner show, encouraging folks to write letters to get her confirmed. Delta Sigma Theta, you know, we didn't care what color she wore. We knew she was the best person for the Attorney General. You know, so he said, you know, why are these AKAs supporting Delta Sigma Theta? That's what we do. We're going to ask you as Omega to get out there and get some letters written too, you know. So we need to get this confirmed. It's been delayed too long. And like just now with Marsha Fudge, we called it the soror. With Marsha Fudge, we were trying to push in for agriculture. Divine Nine, all of us wrote letters, individual letters, and one for Divine Nine also. But then, I mean, you know, you'd be flexible and see where God leads you. So that just wasn't what he had for her life. And so now in HUD, I was watching her on TV, walk in there and take over her HUD meeting like she was supposed to preside. So we just make sure that if there's a best person for the job, especially at that level, when we can't look at AKA versus Delta when you're trying to get Black women elevated, because a rising tide should lift, it doesn't always, but it should lift all boats. And so that's what we do. We lift women up. You know, we're trying to get more women on corporate boards. I'm not going to say, look, are you a Delta? You can't be you're a Zeta. We're not going to recommend you. If you got the background of what they're looking for to be on a corporate board, and they'll call me up and say, do you know anybody? I'm going to give them the best person I can think of, whether it's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha or not, because we're trying to make sure we can get Black women represented at different levels in our society. So that's what it's all about, lifting each other and just making sure that I said, sisters are gift. So you're going to take that gift and maximize that gift.
Yeah.
I would also, I want to just jump in quickly there because I know Glenda took 2 of my minutes, but I'm going to let her slide. I just want, but I love her. Okay, I just want to know that, but I love her. I want to say that the example, it's a trickle down effect from the top and trickles down. See, I would hope that the example of what we have been showing the nation, our members, each other, is a trickle down effect so it can go from the top to the bottom. There's nothing wrong with healthy competition because we're all competitive in some sort of way, shape, form, or fashion. And then what happens is when you get overly competitive, that's where some of the issues come in. See, that's why I say because of our undergrads, and we love our undergrads because they are the future, but the responsibility also is our graduate advising chapter to help them to understand. It's nothing wrong with competing, but we don't have to take it to the next level where it may turn out to be ugly, because we're not ugly to each other here. So we shouldn't have that happening at any level. So the important thing is that we need to continue to work and help our undergraduates to understand it's always good to have that healthy competition, because it's going to be a competition no matter where you go in life, whether it's in school, whether it's a job, whether you're going to get that job over the next person, or you're going to get that scholarship over the next person, or you put a bid on a house but somebody else outbid you, or you ran for an election and they got it and you didn't. There's always that competition. There's going to be winners and there's going to be losers, but how do you lose? That's what my mother taught me. How do you lose? Are you graceful? Do you come and you say, I learned something from this? I share something with Beverly. We ran for this position before. I lost. I didn't walk away mad, because that's healthy competition. Someone else won. I stuck it in there. I worked hard, and I worked 10 years to get back to where it is right now, because I don't quit just because I don't win. And then I get mad, and then I want to go on, maybe Facebook or whatever and start carrying. That's not necessary. We have to have our women together. So that's very important. And I think the trickle down effect, starting with the top, coming down, is what we really need to concentrate on. And then we help each other from there.
That's so powerful. Wow. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about where we are today, Madam President, and being that we're talking here to students in campus, I'm sure, and I think Sora Smith spoke on this about the social media element and this whole sisterly, unsisterly thing. How can we begin to unpack or address this unsisterly behavior on social media? Dr. Asia Jones put me on to some groups on Facebook. Sora Smith, again, I know you addressed this. And the way we speak to each other on social media, it's almost like we're forgetting that we're a model for young girls and young people. So I'm wondering your thoughts on how we can begin to establish a level of decorum of sisterly behavior to each other, and how we engage with one another that's not toxic and mean. How can we begin to address that and unpack that? What's your thoughts on that?
Can I also add to your question, Dr. Gill? Also, even because we have some people who are viewing that may not be members of our organizations, and the unsisterly behavior in general, as I think President Smith so eloquently said, sometimes we're not kind, because I see social media a lot from people who are in sororities and not in sororities, who are just nasty on social media and in public format. So even taking it, because we want to make sure we're inclusive of everybody that's watching, how do we address being sisterly from the sorority aspect, and just being downright Black women and Black people, and how we're treating each other also? Just to add that on to Dr.
Sounds good.
And as Dr. Gill was speaking, I was thinking, this goes beyond. This isn't a sorority situation. It's everybody. So it's internal in our organizations. It's with each other. It's just social media in general. And I think about the depression that's happening among our collegiate age students, and the self-esteem issues that a lot of our collegiate age students have, and that relate to bullying on social media. And I spoke to a high school group not too long ago, and I said then, don't let social media define you. Don't let anybody else define who you are. You have to define yourself. You can't let what people say about you on social media. They don't even know you. And here's the funny part. We will internalize stuff from people that don't even know us and take it for real. And those people we should delete. Delete, delete, delete. You hit that delete button on so much of this stuff, you just don't bother to read it. But I am very concerned about, especially since I have young grandchildren, the impact that social media has on them, the things that people say, the jobs that people lose, by the way, young collegians, because of something that was said or something they said on social media they shouldn't have. You can't do a whole lot about the people who are on social media, unfortunately, because we don't know them half the time. And some of them are adults in another country who have no business being there, just trying to cause friction between people. But that's a whole nother conversation. It's how you take it in. You can't be hurt by people if you do not accept what is said about you or about what's there. So the first thing that happens to happen is you got to put on your own shield of armor that God gave you to protect yourself from others who would try to harm you. The best resource against harming yourself against words that others say is to not take them in as real, because they're not. You cannot let anyone define who you are. The difficult part about social media is there is just no way to control it. You can stop some people. We can sanction some people. We certainly do sanction our own sores. I know I do. I know the others do for things that they do that are untowards, that are against our code of conduct. But you have to, at all times, make sure that you are taking care of yourself, that you do not take in something someone else says about you as real when you know who you are. You just have to keep who you are and whose you are in front of you all the time.
And it will happen. They're going to say things about you on social media. No matter, the higher you climb, the more people can see your behind. And people don't like just looking at your back parts. So the higher you climb, that's what they're going to see. And people are going to throw darts at you, and social media will pick up on something. It's not always the ones who know you. There are those who just hear it and want to keep it going. But it's still a part of the education mode. And we have to teach social media etiquette, because that's what's missing now, and how to respond to social media. And sometimes the best response is just no response. And your neck it can hurt you in so many ways, and getting jobs, your handle. There was somebody that a while ago that we wanted to hire, and she was calling herself sexy big legs or something similar to that. So that was not indicative of a person who's trying to get a job as an accountant, So it turned people off. Just the tag like that. You have to be really careful, and how you answer your voicemail. Your voicemail that you leave on there just has to be professional. It's all about how you're viewed, and then that spills over into your Instagram and into the Twitter account. Just have to be really careful about how you present yourself in those ways, the ways you see your friends looking at it, but then others view you. You can just get yourself out of a job, out of many situations that you really are deserving of, but because you've not practiced the right social media etiquette, and you've not really been educated on social media enough to keep you out of that trouble, because that's what is lacking. We have to do more courses and do more in the area of protecting ourselves on social media.
I was going to say, when it comes to social media, one of the things I think we all have recognized as you start to get up in these offices is that everyone has freedom of speech. But there is definitely some level of, just like what President Smith said, they really have no clue as to what's going on. They don't know you personally, and they often don't even know the inner workings of the organization. And social media has given people a platform of relevance. And so that's their place where they get their relevance. That's where they get empowered and embodied, where we get our relevance from the work that we do. We're actually on the ground sewing. And I always say this to people, it's easier to critique than it is to create. And so we have a lot of people that critique one another, right? But they're not the creators and the designers of what's happening in these communities. And that's what we're here for. And you have to remember that it is also a brand equity position. as your national presidents are going to the table with many partners, those partners research our organizations and they see what our own members say. Because as much as our members think that things aren't discoverable, oh, they're super discoverable. All those confidential groups and things like that, they find them, they have access to them. And so they'll read our brand equity position and say, but this is what the member's saying. And our insurance companies that say, wait a minute, I thought you guys were an anti-hazing organization. What is this? My LS this, my Shippy this, my, all of these things that come up in those negotiations with our insurance companies where they say, we pulled all the records and this is what y'all said, right? So these things are impacting, and then we don't want to increase in dues and we don't increase insurance, we don't want increases, but it's because of the brand equity position that our own members have set us up for, which have been disastrous. So how do you build your brand? You speak positively about your organization. You sell your organization. You sell your leadership. Even sometimes when you don't agree. I always say the person who can disagree and commit is the most powerful person that there is. They have the emotional maturity to really be leaders. And so we need more of those people to not, you can disagree, but you have to commit. And if you can lead, if you want to aspire to be a leader, you must learn how to follow. All of those things are in line with that. So that's my position on social media. I don't have time for it because I'm too busy doing the business of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. I don't have time to argue and debate the night before Valentine's Day on social media. You know why? Because I'm with my husband. I actually have a life that expands beyond that. I have a family. I have a job. I have a career. I'm happy. So I don't have to necessarily use those forums. And some people get frustrated with us as presidents when we don't participate in them, but they have to understand that we don't live and die by social media. We're too busy sowing in the field.
Well, I want to, that was powerful, Rashida.
My computer said, wow, I'm done. Poof.
You dropped the mic. But I want to add in there that with social media, the problem is that we have a lot of bullies behind the screen, and they don't know how they affect other people mentally.
Well, they do.
Thank you so much, Ben. They affect them because you don't know what our undergraduates are going through. There could be mental problems that they are dealing with because people, their own members, become vicious because they're behind the screen. See, back in the old days, you had to come face to face. You gonna say something, you gonna say it to me in my face so I can tell you. I don't have to hide behind nothing to tell you. But see, now we can type on the screen and we don't know what the cutesy name is and everything. And you've empowered to say so much. You want to run the organization. I said, it's a free country. Come run and see when you get there if you can handle that. But what I try to do is when I see there's a lot of people that have a lot of information and they want to say what should be done. I said, well, why don't you come on and help on this team? Why don't you come on and give some of your your expertise over here? Sometimes I get it and sometimes I get crickets. If you want to help, you should be able to help solve the problem. Don't be the detractor. Because our organizations suffer from all the detractors that are there, but they don't understand that until something happens. Like Rashida said, insurance rises up. We're still trying to hold the dues down, but it's not happening. Other things happen. People see it. We have a brand. Everyone here has a brand. If you start tearing down the brand, all of the work that these women are doing, all the time that they spend, they're either working full-time jobs and got these jobs and got other organizations. They stay up all night. Sometimes we're eating on the phone, on the Zoom because we didn't even eat.
Yeah.
It's a very unappreciative job. And maybe sometimes you got to give people a little grace, and if grace goes a long way. So it's not only for just us, because we can handle it. We big girls. You know, like if I'm climbing up and, you know, my hind part's out there, you want to kick it, just you go ahead and kick it. But for those that are coming up, give them grace so that they don't have to deal with that. Know that you can't go out and do those kind of social media because we have policies in place. We don't have to sanction people. We have sanctioned people. I want you to understand that you don't have to act like that. You could be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Wow. Thank you, President Hollingsworth Baker, which is a perfect tie-in to our, yeah, give it up. It's a perfect tie-in to our next question, because as you've stated, many of you stated, we have broken people that come into these organizations. They were broken before they got here, and some of them don't want to get healed. And as we talk about sisterhood and the sweetness of it, we have many people have, many tuning in today have daughters of their own or work with young girls in the community. What can we teach our young ladies or other women regarding the importance of establishing healthy relationships? And are we even currently doing enough right now?
Again, and I'm going to be brief. Again, I think it goes beyond sororities. This is a problem that we have just with young ladies across the board, and the issues we're dealing with. And I don't want those online who are not Greek to think that this is a problem in Greekdom and not a problem that we generally have in general. Those who are Greek come from, they didn't grow up this way. It's a general problem that we have. And I think what you're talking about, Aisha, is just the issue we have overall of raising our girls to be strong, to be able to deal with the environment we're in today. You know, so Rashida said it right, social media isn't going away. We just need to teach our young women and young men better coping skills. The environment with this pandemic obviously doesn't help much, because I think it's making people more leaning towards the depression and sadness and the issues that we have. So, you know, someone is saying right now, this is a huge issue, and it's an issue that we all have. We are all very focused, I will say the four of us, as our organizations are all founded on Christian principles, on faith, with a strong belief that you know, God is our number one in terms of who we deal with. Sorority fraternity is kind of way down the line after church, family, work, and then I hope you all have it in that same order. I'm not talking to the people that I see, these four women, because I know we do, but that's the important order to make sure you have your life in, regardless of which organization you're in. We have a responsibility, I think, as mothers, aunties, cousins, friends of, play aunts, to make sure that the young women that come under our care, that come under our wing, we are an example for and a role model for, that we're working to lift them up to be strong in terms of who they are. It's so much, this is such a bigger problem than the four of us, our organizations, could ever resolve. It is an all of us problem. We can only do our part by having programs, and we all do, for young women and young men in some cases. I know we do, to make them stronger in who they are today so that they can move forward. I know I don't have an answer for that, except to say I don't want us to forget that this is a universal problem. And clearly in our community service, we try to serve and support those outside of our organizations to try and make sure they are strong as well. Our goal is to empower. I think I'd say all of us have a goal to empower.
And we have to just keep our eyes open, just be watchful, be mindful, look around you, just see, if you see a sister or someone who's struggling, and just try to recognize the signs. And, you know, one good thing is our mental health, our mental well-being. We're in a space now where it's no longer looked upon as being taboo. You know, people look down at you because you know, you will call words and different things in yesteryear. And you needed some mental assistance. There's nothing wrong. You need a therapist, Go by and talk to someone. That's why we spend so much money on counselors on university campuses. Because, you know, you need counseling. You need to go and talk to somebody. And I said, keep your eyes up. You want to know these signs. If someone is eating or sleeping too much, you see some low energy, or if they're pulling away from you, if they're confused or angry all the time, or just worried or yelling at you, having some mood swings. It's just learn to know the signs of the person you're in your circle, and others in your sorority, and those who you see on campus regularly. Just sort of look at them and just kind of know, help understand if they're going through something, because your mental health is too important for us to overlook it. And so once we start recognizing the signs, if someone that's continuing to overeat, when we all doing during COVID, but I mean, if someone is just doing something totally unusual, that depression mode is setting in, if they're just angry and tired and just miserable and starting, I mean, they're confused. So just try to recognize some of the signs and have them see somebody. And then, or you can talk to a counselor on their behalf and see if you can get them, but you got to pull them back in. It's okay to need to talk to someone. That's how we save lives. So we prevent suicide. That's how we stop this, by being vigilant, keeping our eyes open and watching our sisters and our brothers to make sure they're okay. And it's okay for them to talk to someone if they're not okay.
I think it's also that we have to help our young people to tell their own story. You know, God gave us life, and through that, we have a story to tell. And telling your own story and empowering them to do that, when they have the mic, their story will be heard. And that gives them more power over not listening to all of the chatter that comes in that will confuse an issue and have people become despondent and not being able to understand, why does this person not like me, or why does that person, they talk bad about me. But sometimes what we need to let them make them understand is that that's that person's problem, that person's burden. That's not your burden to carry. You are your own person, and we have to really teach love yourself. Be able to stand up and be your own person. Don't let others define who you are. You define yourself. That's our job, to help that happen.
I think the mental health awareness conversation has become a greater one, and one that we are all experiencing in our organizations and our sisterhoods, and the world is experiencing. Just COVID alone and what has had to happen with people being the feeling of loneliness, being trapped in their homes, not being able to see loved ones, financial burdens, health burdens. I think it has really escalated. And because of that escalation, I feel like the conversation of mental health is more socially acceptable in our community. And so I would really, on the campuses, if there's any undergraduates, any members at all that are listening to this conversation, we want you to know, as national presidents, that it is okay not to be okay, and that we are really looking for you to feel that healing inside, and that you are encouraged to seek the help that you need. And so we are definitely not women of creating stigma in our sororities or the Divine Nine overall, because I know our fraternities stand on this principle as well. We are completely supportive, and we're concerned about the growing need for our members and what we need to provide them.
Well, in the essence of time, and I really appreciate those words, that is so powerful, particularly President Liberty, coming from you all. I want to bridge these last two questions in time. Asia, and my question, we're speaking to students, specifically the collegiate chapters. You know, we've gone from the whole paper issue to being made, now digital deltas, those types of things. Can you all speak, and wrapping this into the second question and ending in healing, can you all give some encouragement to our younger members and students in our organizations on how to plow through this whole paper, made, digital delta, virtual, whatever, so that in our own mental health preservation, we can learn how in the spirit of sisterhood to treat each other better and not be so toxic because of different pathways we've taken to all become members of our organizations. Sora Smith, I see your face. I'm going to probably pitch it to Madam President Baker in a minute, because she gave a phenomenal response yesterday. Big sister, Miss Baker, coming from the Bronx.
Brooklyn. Uh-oh, don't mix it up.
Get in trouble, right? But seriously, however you guys want to go at it and encouraging our young people and in the spirit of healing for Sisterhood Month.
Okay. What you look for in an organization, and you decided that that's what you wanted to go after, is that's what we really need to try to help our young people understand, that it's about the organization and the principles. Now, this, how you got in, paper, non-paper, what all of that is, not really important. Important thing is that right then and there, you are supposed to be thinking about the principles and how you're going to add to that, and make sure that you are uplifting and elevating the organization. So once you have members who come to you with, well, you didn't go in this way or you didn't go in the other way, that's really not important. And I know sometimes that's hard for our younger members, because they want to feel it, they want to feel part of a group. They want to feel accepted. They want to feel that they could get along with everybody else. But I would say be wary sometimes, because every group that you want to be accepted in, those subgroups, may not be the group that you really want to be in. You want to be accepted in the organization and what you can do. And I think that we have to stop this mentality, because it's brutalizing our younger members, because they don't come in with that in their mind. But once it starts setting in, it's just that effect that keeps rolling down. And if I do it to you, you do it to the next, and you do it to the next. And that's not what we want. We want them to be able to stand on their own and know that it's important, that it's about the organization, not about how you manage to get in, but that you're in, and now you're doing the work of the organization. Because once you leave college and you go, and you, at whatever point you go to and become a graduate member, it is not about how you got in. It's about what you're going to bring to the table to help continue to elevate your chapter, your state, your region, and the overall organization. So that's where I stand with that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You know, yeah, I think about an old Cosby show before Cosby shows were banned because of one person. But I can remember the father in the Cosby show when Theo did something wrong, saying, I made you and I can take you out. In a sorority, the only people that have the guidelines to say what makes you, I'll use Delta, I'll speak to Deltas, Delta, and what takes Delta out is the national organization. The national organization sets the rules and the guidelines for what makes you a member. Nobody else has that right to tell you you were made the wrong way, because they had no say in how you were made. They don't have the right to take you out of the organization. The only one that has the right to take you out is the national president in Delta Sigma Theta's case. And if you violate the rules of Delta Sigma Theta and they call for expulsion, then the president will take you out. You can't, and this, it bothers me because we're in different environments. In a pandemic, members are made differently. They come into the organization differently. In 1967, when did I become a member? God help me, 67, 54 years ago. You came into the organization. Yes, it was a long time ago. You came into the organization one way. In 1989, you came in the organization another way. In 2020, you came into the organization another way. All of those ways were prescribed by the organization at that point in time. Nobody made during that time, if you would, can tell somebody made at another time you were not made right, because it is not their right to tell you that. If you have a piece of paper from Grand Chapter any of these organizations that said you followed the prescribed process for members to come to our organization today, and that is signed by the right paper, then that is the way you come in, and that makes you certified to be whatever you are a member of. And I think we sometimes forget that. You know, Delta had 22 founders, and I often talk about that 23rd founder who thinks they know everything. There was no 23rd founder. Don't let somebody else tell you that you weren't made the right way. They don't know. They could have been made the wrong way, or whatever that is. The only organization, the only persons that have any authority over who you are in the organization is the organization's guidelines that happened at that time. Don't fall for the okey doke on that. And for anybody who tries to haze you for that, we have rules and guidelines for that as well. So let me get off my soapbox and be calm. But I have an issue with that. It's not your right. It's nobody's right out there to tell you that you are not a member of this organization. Nobody's right to say you have to leave.
And it's so prevalent among, it's not Delta Sigma Theta, it's all four sororities. I belong 5 fraternities.
Yeah.
They tell you weren't made right. But I tell you one thing that's so troubling is that it's people, you know, maybe not told in our experience range, but there are those who've been in sorority for quite a while who want to go back and tell about what happened when they came in. And when you talk about that among the undergraduates and those, I mean, they really want to experience that. So you got to shut that down. Because when you talk about those kinds of things, somehow they want to do that too. They want people to do some of the weird, ugly stuff to them too. So we say, why would you even bring those things up? I mean, put those are buried and gone. Don't resurrect it. Don't even have those discussions, you know, shut all of that down. So you won't have individuals wanting to participate in the stupidity of the past. So just focus. I tell people, look, don't focus on what they're telling you. You're not made right. You know, if you got the same rights and privileges as every other member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, then you're a valid member of the sorority. So if you don't have the same rights and privileges, which is not the case, then you're not a member. But you were brought in and you took the vows, you signed your name, and you became a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. So there's nobody can tell you weren't made right, but somehow we choose to embrace that for whatever reason. So I just tell students, focus on your career. This is in 3 years and 2 years, you will graduate and you will still be majored in Alpha Kappa Alpha. You'll be majored in something in Omega Psi Phi, and you will still be, you'll be behind your career goals. You know, in my lecture, I tell you, focus on your destiny. You don't have enough time to talk about how you were made, how you got in. The fact is you got in and you're here and you're working hard now. You want to serve the community. We're all service organizations. Focus on your destiny and ignore the foolishness of this day. Be that city, I got to end in the scripture. Be that city on the hill. Be that salt of the earth. That's who we are. You bring light to dark communities. You bring seasoning to a fresh society. That's what you have to do, and stop focusing on the foolishness.
All right. And I would echo the conversation of made. I always say, I don't care how you came in, I care how you finish at this point. Because once we call you soror, you are a soror. And really, it is the question that I always ask whenever somebody starts getting into who was made what kind of way. I always say, you realize that all of those processes were made up, right? They're just made up foolishness, just stuff that people came up with. Because the key question I would be asking is, who made the founders? The Lord himself. That's who made the founders. And they weren't doing this foolishness. So if it's not coming from the founders, everything that you're doing or have done is made up. And so you have to use that. And when I was a young woman, I used to say, the only paper I care about is the paper that you're paying every year in your dues to make sure that you're an active and committed member of this organization. That's the paper that we're talking about. So if they call you paper, you're right. I am paper because I paid my paper to be an active member of this great sisterhood. I'm done.
gonna pass it to your soror because there's a Sigma and Delta and Theta and all that other stuff. Just shut me down. Big sister, Miss President Liberty. I have nothing else to say. Brooklyn is in the building, and I'm done. I mean, that's Dr. Green. I think we need to go ahead and she just dropped several.
She dropped the mic, didn't she? Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. We had close to 1,000 attendees tonight, one of our largest events here. And I think it speaks to the volume of the sisterhood, the strength of the sisterhood, the passion of the people that are here. And I think it was just food for the soul for everyone. And I appreciate everyone attending. And Dr. Gill, we are heading it back to you to close us out.
Hey, just one commercial break. Dr. Green, if you could drop the survey in the chat. I am a PhD student, as I stated earlier, and I need some important information from you all. Dr. Glover, I'm gonna send a shout out. Whenever you're looking for a new vice president of student affairs, I'll have my degree in just a year and a half. You can hire me, I got you. But on a note, please fill out the chat.
I hear you.
Survey in the box, and please provide some feedback, because I will need that when I get to dissertation stage of my end of my education journey, and I'll need that. And before we close out with Dr. Gill, I just want to give a huge shout out to the African Student Union, who was a proud sponsor tonight, the Black Resource Center, Georgia State University, in which President Smith used to work at, and also the two chapters of Delta Sigma Theta here in San Diego, the San Diego Alumni Chapter, and the New Upsilon Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta at San Diego State. I love partnering with you all. To all the presidents, I just want to send my personal shout out. President Beverly Smith is my new best friend. Madam Grand Liberty is my real best friend. And President Hollingsworth Baker, you're my girl. When I come to the Republic of Brooklyn, I would be there to see you. And Madam President, Dr. Glover, you got my next job lined up, I already know. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Gill to close us out.
Thank you.
I thank each of you. I have been charged with the awesome privilege of prayer, to pray us all out. And what I'll do, actually, in the spirit of how God has moved me, I'll just give a word after Big Sister Liberty just showed me another path. The Bible is clear on who we're made after, God's own image. And as long as we keep things at a spiritual level, we can manifest spiritual things. And so I want to give a scripture as a prayer. That is the impetus of what this is. She's healed. And in that scripture, we see in Luke 17, sisters who are all tuned in, Jesus tells the lepers, go and see the priest. And what I want to leave everybody here with today is, in that text, we always talk about who went, who came back. But there are some operative words in that text. And that text says, as they went, they were healed. I like those words, 3 little words. As they went, they were healed. It is our hope and our prayer today. Thanking the presidents who gave of their time today as we embarked upon a conversation on healing, that you understand it is a journey. It's a process. As Madam President Baker said, when we're pushing forward and going through, we have to give each other some grace. Let's give ourselves some grace and understand that this journey to healing is an as they went healing. He didn't get healing when he got to the priest. He got healing on the way to the priest. We hope that you can get your healing today. And this was a part of the journey in the direction. Let's get away from the toxicity, the triggers. We owe it to ourselves to be something greater for our children, for our communities. We stand on the backs of some strong sisters. Let's not damage each other. Let's build each other up. Let's love each other. Let's turn the corner. And let's honor our presidents who are working hard every day so that we can wear these letters with pride. Let's do our best. As they went, they were healed. But they had to go and see the priest. We challenge you to go in the direction of healing. And as you go, we declare and decree you are healed. In Jesus' name, I appreciate all of you. Dr. Chandra Gill, represent Chicago. We love you so very much. Sora Smith, give it up. Shout our presidents out in the chat. Tanika Green, my AKA sister, can you take us out with some song? We love you guys. We'll be in touch with you guys. Our presidents, once again, we thank you for everything, and all of the sponsors. I see Rachel, San Diego Alumni Chapters in the building again. I can't wait to get back to San Diego. I can't wait to get back to San Diego. So, Dr. Tony, you want to close us out in song. Have a great evening, everyone.